I do have the questions up.
Okay, there we go. I think it's recording now. So we can answer the questions, and then this will go into, we can have this to be viewed later in the group. So that way anyone that couldn't join this can still get their questions answered. I'll leave it up to you guys if you want to have your cameras on or off. It's totally up to you. Participate as much as you'd like. We'll just pretend we're hanging out together. So yeah, we'll go with that. So let's see. Do we want to start with questions?
Yeah, let's start with questions. Okay. So, wait for it. I have a series that I'd like to submit, but I'm not sure if I should put the whole series together before searching for a publisher or submit the completed one first. I actually have experience in that the book that got me my agent was a series, a 4-book romance series. And I wrote all the second one and most of the third one while I was waiting and querying for the first book, knowing that that's a giant risk, because if that first book goes nowhere, I've just completely wasted years of my life. I mean, knowing that I guess I could salvage those books and turn them into like a standalone, and that would be okay. So when I was successful in querying that first one, got an agent, and in consultation with her, and when we were putting together the submission plan for that first one, it was kind of titled as a standalone with series potential. And that's kind of how it was left. We had one publisher ask like for a fairly comprehensive outline of the rest of the books, which I wasn't prepared for. They were all in various states of garbage fire, so it was difficult to do that. But I guess that's my caution. Like, for sure you can proceed knowing that maybe you'll have to do a bit of rewriting to create them, like to make them standalones, and if they're not going to be part of a series. But also kind of have a really good idea of where you want the series to go, because if a publisher is to jump at the whole series, they're going to want to see either samples of those books or a really, really detailed synopsis of them. So, I mean, I guess there isn't like a yes or a no, but just some cautions.
Yeah, I guess that's good advice on that. And it probably depends too what you're doing. I think for some things, like I did my first book, and I did originally plan to have 3 with my series. Now it's just 2. But I did only have the first one written when I was submitting it, and had like a pretty detailed outline of what the next one would be if I needed to give it. But I also was like, I don't really want to write that whole thing before I go into a big, because I did a lot of rounds of editing with my first publisher. And so I was almost glad I didn't have the second book written yet. But I think it just depends on what you want and what your goal is for your series. If you want to self-publish, then it doesn't really matter. You could have them all, at your own time. But if you want like a small press or traditionally press, it's going to be a different outcome.
Yeah, for me, I think I would say definitely what Everly said, to make sure that your book can stand alone. There's nothing more frustrating than readers who are like a cliffhanger, and then you might not get a second, like a deal for a second book. So definitely wrapping up your book. That's the biggest advice I heard, like from Pitch Wars and other agents and professionals. They were saying to make sure your book can stand alone. And then as far as should you pursue the sequel or whatnot, I think it goes back to what Autumn said, and it depends on your goals. Like if that series is what you're breathing right now, and that's the only thing that you are focused on, you may, and you may not have other ideas or things that you want to write at the time, then by all means, maybe like Everly said, plot out the second and the third book, and maybe have your second book. Some people aren't ready to really query until they have a couple rough drafts or clean manuscripts under their belt. So that's definitely not a problem. Now, for me, like when I was thinking about querying, I wanted to have a couple standalones from different series kind of together or in the works. So if I didn't get a series or if they didn't like a particular project, I had a couple different ideas I could submit. So that's another thing you could consider if you already know that you have multiple books or multiple series that you're entertaining. So it just kind of goes back to your goals and what you're looking for.
Very true.
Lovely.
Did you guys have any thoughts or experiences on this? I know, Megan, you said that you are a Pitch Wars out. You get Pitch Wars.
I did, and actually, so I am traditionally published, but I am getting ready to finish my series on my own. And I actually wish that I had had it written earlier. So I published through 47 North, and my publishing schedule was extremely aggressive, and I struggled to complete everything on time. So I think you take the gamble that you're going to have to self-publish, or that you're going to have to, and self-publishing, obviously, a lot of us know, is very resource intensive. It's not cheap. And I think there's risks both ways, because if you are a mom and you can't write very fast, which a lot of us have other jobs, or our job is our children, if you decide to either publish yourself, you're more than likely going to be publishing 1 or 2 a year at the minimum. And then if you happen to go with a publisher who wants a quick turnaround, I wasn't able to hardly do what they needed me to do and feel like I was writing a good book. So there's risks both ways, but I actually wish that I had written forward and written my second book while I was waiting to finish my contract on the first, because I was behind the ball.
Thank you for sharing. That's something to consider. Great. Any more questions or thoughts? And Sharice, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat too.
Yeah, I just saw her message. I'm like, oh, hello. I forget the little chat box there. I moved it to the side and I'm like, oh, I got to look at that. Let's see. We had, I think, Joy, you had a question. Did you mean for that question more for April? Or like, did it get answered? Or did you mean more like general? I wasn't sure because it was about marketing.
I don't really remember what I asked now. But yeah, I mean, just general, just because there was a marketing one I asked, and then something about kids publishing.
All right, let's see. I think we have it here. I'd love to hear unique marketing and event tips from fellow writer moms. I'm thinking unusual places you've been able to host signings or sell books, local shops other than bookstores, etc., or out of the box ways you've marketed successfully, such as magnetic stickers on vehicles, leaving books in Airbnbs or little free libraries, etc. So let's start. You want to start with that one, and then we'll do the second part of that question? Autumn, Everly?
Sure. Yeah. Sounds good.
I'm finding it on the questionnaire thing.
So do you guys want me to start, or do you want to?
Let me find it here real quick because I'm like, I'm going to have to read that.
Yeah, I'm not the one to ask for this one. I haven't had to market. I mean, I do know there's several places locally that welcome authors from our area. I think it's like that whole trend of buying local and exploring what is in your neighborhood. And so several of the stores in our area, and it's quite a small community, but they've started offering that as an opportunity. I haven't done it. I'm not sure how successful that is, but I think that's a really cool opportunity.
So I think it also depends on your goals. Like if you're traditionally publishing or self-publishing, now with both, you're still going to have to do a lot of your marketing, but you may have some assistance. And then, you know, depending on what your contract is, you may have a little bit of money to help you with that. Um, so, you know, it kind of depends on that. And then you'll have extra resources, like you can ask your agent ways. Your publisher might have some ideas. If you're self-publishing, you are going to, you know, it's all on you. You can hire out if you have funds. You might get like a marketing professional. They have assistants that you can, you know, you can have somebody handle your social media account if that's not your strength. You can get consultations with publishing aides and professionals. If you want to be, again, it's your goals. Like I would like to get into the libraries. A lot of people kind of shun away from that because they're like, well, readers aren't buying the books. But honestly, you know, as somebody who goes to the library a lot, if I really like a book, I'm going to buy it. And that's free, kind of free marketing right there. You can donate to your local libraries. They're always looking for good recommendations. If people check it out, you're helping the libraries, you're helping people who don't have maybe a lot of income. And you know, your book is out there. If they like it, they get a lot of requests, then they're gonna buy more books from you. Social media, finding your own tribe, and knowing, you know, I think the biggest thing with marketing is knowing who your book is for and realizing that it's not going to be for everyone per se. I think as authors, sometimes we want everybody to like our book, and instead of just finding the person that it's meant for. So I would say start with that. You know, it depends on how you want to publish, who you're trying to reach, and then based on who your audience is, who your tribe is, kind of going from there and finding where they go. Like a teenager may not be on the same platforms or be in the same economic reach as an adult. So it varies based on like who you are, how you want to brand yourself, and who you want to reach. So there's 1,000 possibilities.
Yeah, I like that. And kind of going off of what you said, finding where your readers are. So for my book, it's very much like if you liked Twilight, you would probably like my book. I kind of wrote it inspired by Twilight. It's not fan fiction, but it's definitely inspired by that. So now that I'm self-published with this and the marketing is all completely on myself, I don't really have the funds to put towards marketing. And so I've been trying to get creative with that. And one of the things I did was starting to follow different Twilight fan groups on social media. So on Instagram or on Facebook, and try to find just people where I'm like, this is where my readers would be. Granted, they're there for Twilight, so I try not to invade too much, but I've kind of gotten to know people like the Twilight Swan House on Instagram. They're super nice. They've actually asked for a copy of my book that's in their Airbnb. So there's a copy signed to Bella in the room. So that's kind of like, in a sense, some guerrilla marketing there in a little bit. And then because of that, and she was very willing to share because she read it and she liked it, and that's why she asked for a copy. So through her, the Forever Twilight and Forks Festival committee got a hold of me and asked if I wanted to participate in their author event that they were going to do this year. Now that got changed up because of COVID, and they did the event virtually. So they didn't have that author signing event, but I'm hopeful for next year they'll still do that, because I'm like, those are the readers I'm looking for, people who enjoyed Twilight but now they're older, maybe they're a mom, maybe they would like something a little more than teenage vampires, because that's kind of the place I wrote it out of. I wanted something more. I wanted to go a little further into this world. What would it be like if you were a mom and a vampire? Like, how does this fit? Like, there's some cool parts about it and there's some really uncool parts about it. So when I was querying it, I kept saying it's Twilight for the, like, when you get older. And people are like, no, you can't compare to Twilight. You can't do that. I'm like, but that's my readers. That's who I'm looking for, is the people who liked that would likely like my story. So because I've had to get really creative with marketing myself, I've kind of gone that route a little bit, and it's very slow. I've not sold a bunch of books, but I think I sold 7 last month. So I'll take it, you know. So like 7 is better than 0. I think when I was with my publisher for the first round, first edition, I think I only sold like 140 paperbacks total or something like that in the whole 6 months it was out. So even with like the backing of a small press and their marketing, it still wasn't like enough. And now that I'm on my own with it, I have the freedom to kind of search out more areas. I don't have to be like, hey, can I like do this? And I can just do my own thing. So that's my little, I guess, out of the box way I've been trying to find readers and trying to market it. And I'm not really a salesperson, so I'm not going, hey, buy my book. I'm just more like, hey, you're cool. Like, I love Twilight. You love Twilight. And then sometimes they'll follow me and then they see on my account, on my Instagram, like, oh, there's my book. Or like I just did a giveaway earlier this month because it was my birthday. So I did a giveaway where, hey, let's all come together, share what we love about Twilight. Because it fell on the Twilight Forever and Forks virtual festival. It was like my birthday weekend too. So I kind of combined that, trying to find some of that audience that was already talking about Twilight, already going through all the Twilight weekend stuff. Like, hey, I'm doing a giveaway of my book. Just share what you like about Twilight. What did that book mean to you? Because it's really touched a lot of people in such weird ways that, so I kind of used that. And I was surprised at my turnout for that giveaway. It was pretty fun to see trying different effects instead of the like, okay, well, follow me and share it and that's your entry. The entry was simply share something you like about vampires. And if you want to share this, go ahead. If you want to tag someone, go ahead. It's not required. But yeah, so, Charisse has a question. Okay, so that's kind of like on that one. I don't really know if there's much for me to say about that. Yeah, Megan.
Can I add just one small thing? I have a little bit of a different journey because I did have a publicity team. However, even traditional publishing, I did a couple of small things myself. One thing I've had a lot of traction with is just ordering bookmarks with my book information on it. And I carry them in my purse. They're small. And that way, if I only have a limited time with somebody, or if, like the ladies at my bank, the little old ladies have all read my comic book drag queen book. I mean, like, it's hilarious, but it's because I happened to say like, oh, my book's coming out here if you want to check it out, or if your kids are interested. I don't have to give them a pitch. The pitch is on the bookmark. The title, everything, like how to find me, is on the bookmark. And I've seen people do it with business cards too, ordering one for your book or one for your series. Have something that if you have a limited time and your waiter is like, oh my gosh, I love vampires, you can be like, oh, here's my book. And that's all you have to do. And then they can take it home and they can look at it and order your book. And I've had a lot of good luck handing out bookmarks. And I just wanted to throw that out there because I think it was $40 to order 200. I mean, it was very cost effective.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. It's not, I should look at that, but that's a super good idea. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And Megan also said if your book has an ISBN number, you can submit a request to your library for them to buy your book. So if you got your own ISBN, that's another perk. Thank you, Megan.
Yeah, I just gave one to my library. And that works
yes,
really small.
Also, I'd like to add, especially, and even if you're not self-publishing, but everybody I've heard who is like really selling a lot of books, they swear by the newsletter. So if you can get a newsletter and you can, build your audience that way, that's constant direct contact. So like when your book is out, include the link there, and all people have to do is push it.
It's a good idea. Yeah. Everly, do you have anything to add to any more marketing stuff? I know you haven't done much.
I haven't. But like from a reader perspective, I love anything that's like clever or funny or like a play on your title or a play on your genre. Like I don't even, I'm such a sucker for good marketing. I'm probably like every company's dream, but like anything that like hooks you with, I don't know, something funny and clever. And if it can, you can relate it back to your book, I'm guaranteed to be in. So I don't know if that's representative of large reader population, but yeah, when I'm looking at books, if you can hook me with something clever, you got me. Sadly for my bank account.
It's not sad for their bank account. Just kidding.
No, that is true.
I love it. Okay, let's take Sharice's question. Hers was, I would love to hear about the publishing journey, whether traditional or self, if anyone is willing to share it. So I know, Diana, you and I are both self-published. Everly, you have an agent. No, you had it. Did you get a new agent?
I did. I think this is like the perfect example of self-publishing versus traditional. You guys have self-published and you have books and readers and experience. I'm going the traditional route and I have nothing. So I don't know if that means anything or not, but
well, it's just a different journey, you know. It's I pursued that route. I tried. I got halfway there. I pursued it. I queried for about a year and a half. I had a lot of rejections. I thought I found my winner in my small press that picked me up, and I knew the warnings of small presses. I thought I did my homework. It didn't work out. Thankfully, I was able to get all my rights back, and the cover designer was super amazing with giving me a good price, like super good price on my cover. So I could keep everything the same. I didn't have to change the cover. She's going to do my the sequel cover too. But it's kind of like, I've just decided you have to stay open. Decide what you want for your book. If you want to see it in print and you don't care how, you just want to see it printed, then that's your goal. That's awesome. If you want a large reach, if you want a lot of backing and support, I know traditionally sometimes I think there's kind of like that list where you've got like the A authors that go through and they get these huge budgets and you see them on tours and like Caraval and like all those, the big books. And then you have some authors that are on the traditional route. I know one who she's more like on that like B level, I guess. They're categorized by how much the publishers think they're going to get from you. Are you a marketable author? Is your book marketable? You're there to make them money. You're the product. So if you can't make them a lot of money, you're not going to really be as valuable to them. And that also goes into why they pick you as an author. And not that it means you didn't write a good book because you didn't get picked up, but maybe you're not as marketable as this person over here. And it's just a crazy game, and it could be different one day to the next. And it's just, I think having an understanding of the publishing industry as much as you can, not being in it, very much helps keep a perspective. Small presses are a great in between if you're kind of like, I was so afraid to self-publish, like I didn't even know where to start. So when I went through a small press, they took care of a lot of it, but it helped teach me to now that when I went and did my re-edit to self-publish, I felt a lot more confident. And so book 2 will be my first round, start to finish self-publishing. So we'll see how that goes. But I do think next books that are not going to be in this series, I will try to go a more traditional route again. And I think the most important thing I learned about that is be picky about your agent. From different people I know that have had agents and lost them, or agents and they haven't done anything, or agents that just up and went like, I'm done, I'm not agenting anymore, and they lost them that way. Or people that were on submission for a very long time and not getting anything back. So I learned to be very picky and not just send it out to whoever's an agent, but to really be specific. I learned a lot more on how to ask specifically when you're querying, that I think I have hopefully a better understanding now for the next round that I do that.
That's true. And I mean, you make a really good point about like going back to your being picky about your agent and that kind of thing. Like I think when you first get into traditional publishing, the agent is that is such a far off prize that when you get there, you're just like, yeah, I'll do whatever. Like, tell me what you want. I'm here for you, but they work for you. And I know you read that so many times, but I think it took me going through a bad experience before I was willing to speak up and be like, no, I'm pretty sure there's more that needs to be happening here. I don't know anything about publishing, but something just doesn't seem right. And so now I do have a second agent, and I feel more comfortable saying, I feel like this is moving me. Like this, I know it's supposed to be slow. This is a little too slow, or something like that. Like, I think you almost feel like you answer to them and not the other way around. So, I mean, yeah, that doesn't answer the question about like self versus traditional, but I just want to touch on your point.
It counts though, because that plays a part in it. Because if you want a traditional route, you've got to go an agent route, and you want a good agent. And even looking at like learning to look into the publishers that that agent tends to sell to, and potentially then you can tell the relationships they might have with different publishers. What do those publishers already have on their dockets? Because if it's exactly what you have, then I mean, hopefully your agent would know if they pick you, you know, to do that. But if you're looking for an agent and you can see who are they selling to, that might help you know if that's an agent you should even request, or if that's an agent you should even look at, because maybe they're already representing authors just like what you write. And so while you may feel they're a good match for that, they may not pick you because that'll be competition to the other authors that they have. And that wouldn't be fair. That wouldn't help any of you.
Right.
I'm a stickler for, really know what your goals are. For me, I just wanted to get my books out there. And for me, the traditional route was taking too long. I didn't want to hear no. I just wanted to get the story out there, and I was willing to learn and to try everything myself. So I did try the traditional route, and I didn't give up because I didn't think I wouldn't like publish. So it wasn't that it was a second option for me. I really wanted to get my book out because I have so many stories and ideas that I wanted. So what I did, I tested it, the idea out by querying it. And I actually did I don't know how many of you have heard of Swoon Reads, but it's a subset from Macmillan Publications. So, they're a big publishing company. And what they do, Swoon Reads does YA and new adult. But it's a free platform where you can post your stories up, and readers will read, they'll rate, and they'll review. And based on the feedback, Swoon Reads picks so many people per year to traditionally publish. They offer like a legitimate contract where your book is on the shelves, and it's an exciting process. So I highly recommend that if you want extra feedback and you want to give it a shot, that's a great platform. And my story was not ready, but I got so much great feedback that helped me to reshape it. And I could have still queried it, but I wanted to try it myself. So I would say that whatever you decide to do, you're going to have to research and know your craft either way, because either way, if you are not aware of what the process looks like, so many people can scam and take advantage of you, or you might not get the best deal that you can get. But if you research and you know what you want, then you can have a good experience. You'll know what to look for in an agent. You'll know, because they make it very clear when you submit what they're looking for. And so that will help you kind of determine what would be the best home for your book. You want an agent, you want a publisher that believes in your idea, and that will give you your fair shot. But I will say, like Autumn and Everly said, just be open to kind of change, and know your market. Like, the thing I've noticed, it's not that ideas are bad sometimes, or that books are bad. Sometimes it's just timing is off. Like, for a minute, people were saying that the vampire genre was over, but there's always readers for vampires. I love vampire books. I never get tired of them, and neither do readers. So you just have to know how to market, how to show readers, publishers, hey, my book is there's an audience for this, because there is. No matter what your idea is, there's an audience for it. And so whether you traditionally publish or whether you self-publish, you just have to find your audience. Because if you get 200 people, 500 people that will buy anything you put out, no matter if you're traditional publish or self-publish, you've got to market there, and then you can just build on that. So I think that's the first thing that I would tell anybody is just research, perfect your craft, and then you'll have options. Like you may self-publish, and a traditional publisher will come up to you and say, I see that you've sold, like 500,000 books, or however many you do, because self-publishing can be very lucrative. It's just how you how you market yourself, how you build that. So research, and don't do it by yourself, especially if you're self-publishing. I did a lot of the work myself for my first book, and that's because I was really trying to meet a deadline that I had put on myself. But if you, if you don't have to do it by yourself, don't. If you have friends that can help you that are professionals, do it. If you have the money, budget it, put it in there, because you want to put out the best book that you can either way.
Yeah, and I think too, it's important to know your strengths. Like editing is not my strength. My fifth grader has these proofreading pages for his fifth grade class, and I look at it and I'm like, Bud, I read through this and nothing sticks out to me. My brain goes right over those mistakes and I don't see it. And so, I mean, that was part of the issue with my small press was when the book came out. Oh, there's a lot of issues, but a big one was that I didn't even really notice till I went through it and did my edit. Was they said, oh, it'll go to a proofreader. We went through all these rounds of editing, and after I read the final, when I was re-editing it for me to self-publish it, because I knew there was mistakes in it, I didn't. At this point, I was like, the book's out. There's nothing I can do, because getting a hold of my publisher to get stuff fixed was not working out. There was kind of a ghosting happening there. And I read through it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is what went in the world. Like, I actually caught the mistakes reading through it. And I was like, I know I did not, this is not the final, it was a mess. Anyway. So it's not perfect. I know it, but I went through it as best I could. I had my critique partner go through it. I did the best I could for this round. So hopefully it's acceptable now. But oh my gosh, I was just cringing reading it. Like, how did I get any good reviews on this? Like, how could people go through this and be like, oh wow, this is a good book? I had like one person review saying like, oh, or two people like on Goodreads saying there was like a lot of mistakes. And I'm like, I know, I can't change that now. I don't know what to do about that. And then once I did everything, was able to redo the whole book. I'm like, okay, we're going to clean this up. I took out things that were annoying me, added a couple different things, expanded some chapters, and now we have a new edition. So we're good. But yeah, it's even when you get that agent or you get that publisher, like it still may not be what you expected. So definitely.
Is there anybody else who's traditionally published?
Not in this group, no. Not, or like in this, little circle we have right here.
I can put away in and say I'm a very happy traditionally published author. I have a really wonderful agent. I've been really happy with her, and I had a really good experience selling my book and editing my book, and my sales are really good. But I just want to say that I think you can, no matter your path, even if you're pursuing and get traditional, you can never know too much about publishing, because everything you guys are talking about, I am finishing my series on my own, even though I had very good sales. Very good sales. They declined to publish my third COVID market. I don't know, but I am having to step into a hybrid role, and I'm happy to do so, because I think all of this knowledge and all of whichever path you take, you can't ever know enough, because you're probably going to have to use all of it at some point. For me, why I chose traditional, just in case people are actually trying to figure out which they want to do. First off, I have two very small children, and I only have time to mostly write and do a little marketing, but I knew I didn't have enough time at the moment when I really wanted to start writing. Sorry, this is the here. You can. I knew I didn't have enough time to do the to do all of the marketing and all the cover and all the editing and everything. So for me, it was a time, and I'm going to put this on mute. So.
No, thank you. I think it's good to have like different perspective. And I know some people, even in traditionally small presses, I know people have had great experiences. I thought I was having a great experience, and then just things happen. Life happens. I think one thing to know is how big is your small press matters. Mine was very small. And then when I find out more, mine was really just like one person. There was a lot of stuff going on with that. That's a whole different topic. And I don't want to like throw anyone under a bus, but yeah, there's just so many aspects of publishing. I can't say there's a right one. I can't say there's a wrong one. You know your book the best. You know yourself the best as a writer. Yeah. But
Yeah.
self-publishing is not as scary as I thought it was, but it is definitely not cheap.
Yeah.
It can be so much fun. And, you know, there's just, I think what I love is that, you know, there's a lot of creative control. There's nobody to tell you, nope, we're not doing that. We're not going there. And, you know, maybe for good reason, because, you know, I'm not going to say that you don't make bloopers. But the great thing is if you mess up, if you do find errors in your book, you can pull it, fix it, put it back up.
Yeah,
so there's a lot of flexibility with it. And you can kind of make your own little mark on that. But I do say, you know, make sure, you know, put the money where it needs to go. Like Autumn was saying, you have to know your strengths. You have to know your weaknesses. And if you're somebody who doesn't work well under, you know, who's not good at managing yourself and keeping yourself on deadline, it might not be for you. But, you know, with both, or whichever way you take, or if you decide to do both, you just, you know, learn, never stop learning. And I think, you know, even if you go to traditional publishing and you show that you're, you know, you're learning and you're researching, I think that they'll appreciate that, because they don't have to, you know, kind of hold your hand. They can have dialogue. And if they don't appreciate you knowing your business, that might be a red flag. So, you know, just learn as much as you can. And as you learn and you learn who you are as a writer and what your goals are as a writer, then you'll know which path that makes sense and when that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I think it's a good point too that some genres lend themselves better to self-publishing versus traditional. Like that was one of the big reasons I chose to pursue traditional, is I write romance, and the self-publishing realm has tons of romance novels that I feel like readers aren't crazy about the unpredictability of the content they're going to get. You know, like I think you can do lots of really amazing things with covers and your blurb, and then the content inside is maybe inconsistent with what they thought. And I feel like the romance genre is kind of rampant with those inconsistencies, and readers have, over the last several years, have picked up on that. And so I figured, you know, reading some of those things, like, well, maybe traditional would be the best route, even just starting out, right? Like Megan was saying, like hybrid publishing, you get some experience and some books out traditionally, and you build up that reputation. And as a new writer, I wanted that comfort of knowing that acceptance, I guess, right? Like someone likes it, someone says it's good, there's like a stamp on it that says I passed. And, you know, maybe if I have a few books under my belt that way, I'd feel more comfortable self-publishing. So it's been a very bumpy road traditionally publishing, but I'm happy to keep going. see where it leads anyways.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever talked to someone who had a smooth publishing journey, really. I mean, not that it was bad.
Where's the fun in that?
Yeah, what's the fun in that? No one wants a roller coaster. They want it exciting. Yeah. Did we have any more questions on?
There was a second part to to the question, let's see, that talked about the marketing. So we did that answer that most of that question, like unique ways to do it. Just, you know, kind of figure out who your audience is and then see where they're at and shape it according to your goals. It's kind of like the general direction. So a second question would be, for anyone who has helped their kids publish books, what would be their suggestion, advice, tips, etc.? And they said, thank you ladies for working so hard to make this conference happen. We love you. We're so excited. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about that before we started this chat on your children publishing. And I think that depends on a lot of different factors. How old is your child? Are they like 10 and they're just writing a cute kids book and you just want to see their dreams come true? Like, you can self-publish that. I've only vaguely heard a few things on like younger kids, like, or older kids, like 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds getting agented. I think that's a very intensive process involving the parents because they're minors. So that's probably going to depend on the agent. It's going to depend on the book. I mean, The Outsiders, wasn't she like 16 or something when she wrote that? And I mean, that was a long time ago. But I mean, that was written by a young author, and it's definitely possible. But yeah, I don't have any concrete information on how to go about that.
And I would say too, regarding kids, parents are going to be heavily involved either way. You know, if you decide to pursue traditional publishing, you know, you just have to research and see if agents are willing to work with child authors. I would inquire about that and see what their processes are for that. I'm sure agents and, you know, they would know. So if you find an agent you like that represents the type of book your child wants to do, chat with them, send them messages to see how they would process that or what they would suggest. You know, 9 times out of 10, you'll be signing the contracts on behalf of your child if they do work with children publishers. So, you know, just research, ask questions. And but I think that's awesome. And I think, you know, it's definitely something that is attainable. You just have to research and find the right venues. But self-publishing is a great option that might help. And then that can always, you know, build kind of like a resume for later. You know, your child can say, yeah, I self-published and sold these many copies, and maybe they can get traditional publishing in the future. So either way, just do your research, ask questions, and make it fun. If the kids don't enjoy it, you know, don't make it a horrible experience. Try to make it fun. You might end up doing more work than them, depending on how focused they are and how excited they are about it.
I'm looking through the Facebook post just to see if there was any lingering questions on there. Yeah, I think that's all for our like pre-asked questions. Yeah, and Cherise, thank you for asking your question. That was a really good one.
They're actually, sorry, I know we've been talking for a long time, but there was one more that I thought was really interesting and worth talking about. It's how would you approach the bio in the query letter when you're, and this is in quotes, just a stay-at-home mom?
Yes, I remember
so
that.
I thought that was a
really good one.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good question, and probably one that maybe a lot of other people have. So, and that was a question I had as well when I was querying and creating my query letter. So I was kind of cognizant of that as I was going through the process and getting closer to having to create a query and send it out. So I did some small things like join a writers group, like the Romance Writers of America. I would maybe not recommend that at this point, but at the time that was a bit of a selling feature that, you know, maybe don't have any previously published anythings or any reason why you should pick me, but at least I'm trying to improve my craft. But then also made sure the hook of the query was really solid and my comps are really solid. Like if my bio isn't going to sell it, then my book has to sell it. So I don't feel like that section, I mean, it's a 2-sentence section at the very bottom of your query. So I don't think it was going to make it or break it for me, and it didn't, but it definitely was a big question in my mind when I went through that process.
Yeah. And for me, like, I was like, what do I put? What do I put for this? This is my first book I've written. I'm not like a writer at the time. And I think kind of the suggestions given was like, use what you have. I run a writers group. So she's like, put that in there. Like, you run a network for women writer or for writer moms. Another one was, yeah, I mean, that's kind of it. I don't have a degree in writing. I don't have anything. So it was kind of like, take what you have and use that. But if it's not relevant to your book, don't put it in there. And sometimes it's your personality too. You're selling yourself. Sell yourself to that agent. You want them to like you. You want them to know you're going to be a good fit. I think it's okay, depending on the agent, to kind of cater to that. Like saying like, I'm just a stay-at-home mom, not that there's anything wrong with that, may not be a good selling point for that agent. Like, kind of, so maybe don't put that in there, because you being a mom is part of your life. Doesn't mean it has much to do with that book, unless it's like, I'm writing a parenting book, how to parent, how to be a stay-at-home mom and write. Like, then you definitely want to put that in as your credentials. Like, you have experience in this, you've been doing this, and you're writing a book because of it. So it kind of depends on the book you're writing. It depends on the agent you're querying, what you want to do. Yeah, that's a hard one though, because it's really easy to feel like, I'm just a mom. Like, but you're more than that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So I've heard a couple of different things. Some of the feedback I've heard is, again, if it's not related to the book, don't really include it. You really want to, like, especially in your query letter, you want to show that your book is marketable. And so that's the main thing. Like, if you don't have any, like, if you're not writing because you don't want to make it about your resume. You don't want to do like, you don't want to turn it into like 4 paragraphs of like, yeah, I do this and this and this, and then it kind of gets off track of what you're really trying to pursue. So the main thing is, when you're in the querying process, you want to make sure, if you show, hey, I know what my book market is, I know this, and I know what you're looking for, that's the major thing. And pay attention to what the submissions are requesting too, because sometimes they do want you to put a bio and you don't have anything there. So, then that might be where you can say, X, Y, and Z, this is my first book, but, I've always enjoyed this type of writing and I have this experience. And, so it varies. If you don't have anything like specific to put, I've heard professionals say you can leave it out and just talk about your book. They're probably going to check out your social media anyway, especially if they ask for that. But it just really varies on what they're asking for. I think above all, I would say, what pieces of information are they asking for? Because different agencies, different publishers will ask you for different things. They're looking for different things. Like I think I had submitted a query to a small publishing press. They wanted to know about my marketing strategies. I knew nothing about marketing, but they wanted me to put a plan together. So I guess I'm saying all that to say, research who you want to send it to before you worry about what you want to put in it, because it might not even be an issue. They may not really care about your bio per se as much as your story idea. And you're not just a stay-at-home mom. You have a lot of different experiences. So, look at what they're looking about. Maybe you and the agent will be more compatible because of your interests. I know a lot of queries have gotten attention because they've just really paid attention to the agents as people and not just, a slave for your book. Like, if you can pay attention to what their wish list is and say, hey, I saw that you were looking for a book about friendship and horses or whatever, and you can just kind of, piggyback off of that and just focus on those key terms and those things that they want and that they're asking for, that can kind of offset for what you feel you don't have. And so, you know, that way you can kind of skirt that bio and you may not have to even include it. Because some agents and some professionals have said if you don't have any related experience towards a book, don't even include it. It's not a big deal. But if you have something, like if you've won awards or stuff like that, you know, then that's when you put it in. But if you don't have it, don't put it. I didn't put it on mine and I still got full requests. So just do your research, see what they want, and be confident, be proud, and put your best work forward.
Yeah, I even think I read once where like even if you've written a book and self-published a book, it's not always in your best interest to put that in your bio unless it relates. If you said, I self-published a book, I had over 50,000 copies sold, and it's a real selling point, but I'm looking to broaden my reach with this book, it's a different genre or whatever it is you want to do with it. Like you want to grab them in and be like, hey, I am a marketable person. I already have this big reader platform. I just would like to go further. And I've gone as far as I can. I need you as an agent to help me go further. Yeah.
Great. I think that's all we have on our questions.
Was there more?
I think that might have been the last one. One question was, will the the live sessions be able to watch later? And I think we did cover that. Yes, they are all under the announcements. I have tagged them Virtual Writer Mom Conference 2020 in the topic tags. So you could probably search the group and find it that way too. But at the very top bar, there's a discussion or post, and then I think it says our discussion announcements. Just click on announcements. Everything from today should be under that.
Perfect. Then Diana, did you want to talk about your critique hashtag and your idea for that?
So that will be forthcoming. We're looking at doing just some challenges, some discussions to kind of help spark some conversation so we can get to know each other as writer moms and see if we can just organically connect. Sometimes we need a little help, a little push. So we're just going to kind of support and do that. Look forward to it this week. I'll have prompts and posts and hopefully some other fun activities to go along with it. So, and if you need any, like, if you don't get any help, if you don't make any connections through that, you can also, we have a hashtag associated with it. You can search independently, you can mingle, you know, online through other platforms, but we will have some activities posted in our group where we can discuss, kind of build, and just really work on ways to prepare for critique and to prepare to be a good critique partner. So look forward to that, and I hope you all join in.
That's so exciting. I'm looking forward to that.
And Everly, did we want to talk about your challenge, or do we want to have that on a separate thing?
We can talk about it. So the Writer Moms Journal should be ready and available in time for October 1st. And we timed it with the conference because everyone who has pre-registered to attend sessions at the conference will receive a free copy, hopefully next week.
Ebook, yeah.
Yes. And then kind of along with that, starting October 1st, we'll do a follow along. I don't know. I said I was going to make a clever name for that, but that's Autumn's job, not mine.
That's my job. Okay.
I can't. No, it's a miracle my kids have names. Like I cannot not my thing.
We love those really good titles for the journal. So they're really good.
So it was so hard though.
You've got
I'll keep thinking. But in essence, we'll go through it together in October just because so many people will have a copy of it. And if you feel like you can benefit from some of the tips in there, it's like creating a realistic writing schedule and sticking to it and finding ways to be creative when maybe you don't feel like being creative or when you only have 2 minutes in your day to be creative. And just kind of progressing in your writing journey as best you can with so much going on in your mom life, in your family life, work life. So I'm not 100% sure how we will progress through the days, if it'll be like a daily check-in on the Facebook page or a weekly maybe video chat. Perhaps once they go out to everyone who's going to get it today, I can take a bit of a poll and see what would work best for everybody's schedule. But throughout the month of October, we'll go through all the different challenges in the 30-day workbook. And yeah, I think it'll be lots of fun.
Yeah, we thought
You
this was
guys
good timing.
book, want it. Make sure you read it, and it's really helpful. You guys are going to want this. She's being modest. It's an
She doesn't like to
amazing.
talk about herself.
Don't make me talk about myself.
Canadian.
Be excited. Be very excited.
Oh, thank you.
No,
It was lots of fun to write.
it's really good. And I think it's perfect timing. I'm sure a lot of us have been feeling this pull of COVID and quarantine and what are our kids doing for school, and work's different, and just life has been a little bit topsy-turvy lately. So I feel it's good timing, especially if you want to participate in NaNoWriMo this year or MamaWriMo this year. I feel like it's maybe a good restart to get you back on track, or if you feel like you never had a track, maybe to find a track, or maybe you just want something to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be your spokespeople.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. But yeah, it's really good. It's a good challenge. 30 days. It's not crazy intensive. You don't have to buy anything special to go with it. Like just you and reading a couple minutes a day on there, and yeah, really good exercises. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. What else did we want to talk about? I think that was I think we covered most of it.
I think so.
Oh, we're going to put a survey out. Yeah. Should we talk about the survey real quick?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Putting out a survey.
We want to know what you guys think. We want to know what you liked, things that you would like to see if and when we do this again. And if you would like to be to participate maybe as a person who does a session, we want to know, we want to know so we can contact you and get you up there, because this is all about celebrating and supporting our community, because we've got some talented moms, some talented parents in our community. So, this is for you, for all of us. So yeah, we want your feedback.
Yes. Yes. Because we would like to do this again sometime, if everybody enjoyed it. Yeah. Yep. And I think that's all we really have to talk about. Yes. Everybody.
Wait, I know we want to end on the giveaways, but I just had two things I wanted to say first. Don't forget the giveaways. Okay, I just wanted to say two more things. Number one, I know Diana has been part of our group for several months, but this is the first time we've all been together in the group. And I just wanted to say how happy I am to have you here. And I know Autumn feels the same way. And the conference wouldn't have gotten off the ground without all three of us doing stuff. It really has been so wonderful to have our duo turn into a trio. So I just wanted to take a second to say thank you.
I second that. Here's the imaginary bouquet of flowers I'm handing to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wreath of awesomeness.
You guys were amazing by yourselves. I'm just grateful to be a part of the fun, because it's an amazing group. So thank you for having me and for putting up with me.
Oh,
Oh, God.
you're so awesome. There's no putting up.
You are.
You're like, hey guys,
Oh,
I
we
should
really
do that.
appreciate
Yeah, we should do that. Thank you for the push.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need that. I love it.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, yeah, we have a giveaway.
And oh wait, one more thing. I said I had two things. One more thing is that everybody who had a session and presented today, they just did it because they love talking about writing. And I also gave them a super tight deadline to do stuff in as well, which I feel real bad about. So if you can show them support by following them on any of their socials, I put links to all that stuff below the videos. So if you could support them that way, I think everybody who presented has a book that's come out or is coming out this year. So if you're able to show support that way, that would be really nice too, because it was super challenging if I gave them a 2-week deadline to put all their stuff together, and they were amazing. So
They were
that
so
would be great.
I
I'm
learned so much.
Yeah,
Everybody.
like we have so many talented people in our group.
Really do.
It's amazing.
I feel so
Yeah.
spoiled. I don't know, like just
Yeah.
so special. I love them. Wow. Okay, anything else? Am I forgetting
No,
anything?
okay, please give away.
Okay, giveaway. Anna, who's our winners?
Okay. Oh, wait, let me pull it up. So our winners are,
And I'll post this
Drum
in the
please.
comments too.
yes, we'll post it in the comments. Drum roll, please, while I search. Okay, we have Jamie Formato and Kendra Moreno.
Woohoo!
So,
Yay!
Yeah, you guys
emails.
need to stop.
And we just want to say thank you to everyone who pre-registered and everyone who attended. We wouldn't have been able to have a successful Writer Moms Conference without you. Thank you for attending, and thank you to all of our speakers. Because again, we learned a lot, and you guys were amazing.
Yes. And all these things
Absolutely.
will live in the group as long as they can. So
Yeah.
if you missed today, you missed the live, and you still want to see the sessions, they'll be there. So yeah, and I'm sure you could still even ask questions under it. And if you tag the presenter, they'll probably see it and maybe they can answer that. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to mention the merch, that if you did enjoy the conference and you want to support Writer Moms as a group, Autumn made t-shirts and mugs in our bonfire store. So there's a link to that also in the group if you so choose.
Yes, we have brand new 2020 conference mugs and shirt with the little conference logo, which also matches Everly's journal, Writing Mom journal. And then we still have our the Words Raise the Humans shirt and mugs and the Writer Mom mugs. So yeah, go check those out. They're on the bonfire store. You can find it at the website, writermomsinc.com. And then there's also links here and there throughout the Facebook group. And Instagram. It's on there too. We have an Instagram.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
join us on Instagram if you haven't already.
We're going to try to do more fun things on there. So Instagram's kind of been one of those, what am I going to do with this? So we've been I feel it slowly evolving into what it can be. So awesome. Well, yeah, thanks everyone. Thank you for joining. Hopefully I can get this offloaded as I recorded it and put into the group. Crush fingers. Okay.